Picture this, you're born in 17th century France, not into luxury or nobility, but into squalor. Your first experience is the smell of damp straw, and your first touch is from a worn-out linen swaddle, handed down from other babies who faced the same hardships. Your parents? Probably peasants, or maybe your mother's a laundress, just like her own mother before her. Chances are, you'll never learn to read, feel silk against your skin, or dine on fine porcelain like the wealthy. Instead, you'll spend your days scrubbing their dirty sheets, bloodied clothing, and linens, soaked in sweat and desire. You're handling the most intimate messes of the French elite, all while being treated like you don't exist. Because, little girl, you were born to clean up a world that ignores you. By the time you're 13, your arms will be sore. Your hands will be cracked and red by age 20, and your back will be bent long before you hit 30. You are a laundress. And let's be honest, your life isn't a walk in the park. You start working young, around 8 or 9, helping your mom fetch water from the public well and lugging heavy baskets that weigh more than you do. You go barefoot, trudging through the icy mud during winter. Before you know it, you're on your own. There's no factory, no organized workplace. Your office is a filthy stream or a communal washing area, a cold stone spot where tons of women sit in the chill. The stones are hard, the water's even colder, and your body always aches. Soap is a luxury for people like you. You make do with lye, ash, or if it gets really desperate, sour urine. Yes, urine. It's acidic, cuts through grime, and it stings your hands, but it's cheap. Doing laundry is more than just washing, it's beating the fabric against rocks or using paddles. You haul around heavy buckets of water and bend and wring until your back protests. Clothes don't feel light and fluffy like they do today. A single soaked petticoat could weigh over 20 pounds, and you're expected to carry whole baskets of these up steep cobblestone streets on your back. Forget the delicate cycle. Your body is the machine, and nobody cares if it breaks. Winter. That's the worst. The water freezes, but your work doesn't pause. If you stop, you risk losing your job. If you speak up, someone else will take your place. Your skin cracks, fingers bleed, and you catch fevers that linger. Yet, when you stroll through the streets, people still look down at you. To be a laundress is to wear the label of unclean, not for the dirt you handle, but for the class you belong to. You're seen as loud, crude, immoral. Gossip swirls that laundresses flirt too much, showing off their arms and laughing too loudly, that they sleep with men for tips or favors. Some of it rings true, but not from malice, just out of necessity. What choice do you have when you make less than a man but carry triple the load? Maybe you let a customer caress your cheek for an extra coin. You smile at a married man, even if you're married too, because your husband hasn't worked in weeks, and the baby needs milk. And yet, judgment follows. Mockery. Sometimes even violence. Laundresses are often mistaken for prostitutes. The line is thin, and the world is merciless. Take Marguerite Le Bihan, a real laundress from Paris in the 1680s. Her name shows up in arrest records, not for stealing or violence, but for standing up for herself. A nobleman refused to pay her for his laundry. Marguerite called him a filthy pig in public. Witnesses said she was vulgar, loud, insolent. But nobody mentioned that she'd spent 6 hours washing his blood-soaked sheets, that her feet were blistered, and that she hadn't eaten since dawn. She ended up getting arrested for disturbing the peace. The man. He walked away, clean, both in body and reputation. Women like Marguerite were everywhere, angry, weary, voiceless. If they did what they were told, they starved. If they fought back, they were punished. Imagine your arms trembling by midday, your hands swollen and red, with skin peeling from too many hours in soap or ash. Your nails are broken, your back hunched before you even hit 30. Your knees are stiff by 35. You can't afford a doctor or medicine at home. If you're lucky, a neighbor might share a boiled herb for your pain, if she hasn't already sold it at the market for bread. And what happens when you're pregnant? There's no maternity leave. You'll still carry water buckets up hills with a child kicking inside you. You'll still squat by the river when your water breaks. No one steps in to help you. No one slows down. If the baby makes it, you'll strap it to your back and head right back to work. And if it doesn't, if it dies from a fever, cold, or malnutrition, you'll still show up for work. Because grief doesn't pay bills. Laundry does. Being a laundress doesn't mean you're single. A lot of them are married, often to laborers, masons, or guys who drink too much because work is so unpredictable. Your husband could come home furious after a day without pay, and when he takes it out on you, whether it's physically or emotionally, you just take it. What other choice do you have? Some husbands leave, some die from infections or injuries. Being a widow doesn't free you from laundry duties. It just adds more mouths to feed with no extra cash. And the church? They might throw you a stale loaf or give you a sermon about being pious and obedient. But that won't change your reality. You are the silent engine powering other people's lives, scrubbing, boiling, hauling, folding, always in the shadows, always worn out, always replaceable. Let's pause again and consider Marie-Rose Leclerc, a laundress in Lyon. Her story came to light during a legal dispute in 1694. Marie-Rose testified against a merchant who had seduced her with promises of marriage. He brought her little gifts, ribbons, biscuits, a hand mirror, and led her to believe she'd be his wife. She trusted him. They became intimate. But when she got pregnant, he vanished. She took him to court, not out of revenge, but because she had no way to make ends meet. Her earnings wouldn't be enough to support a child, and neighbors loved to gossip. The judge ruled in her favor, but awarded her just 6 liters, barely enough to feed her for a week. Marie-Rose ended up with a baby, a tarnished reputation, and the same filthy stream to wash clothes in. No one protected women like her. Not the courts, not the city, and certainly not the church. Still, you endured. Laundresses lacked unions or pamphlets or revolutions to back them up, but they had each other. You'd exchange stories as you scrubbed, gossiping, laughing, warning, comforting. You learned who paid on time and who didn't, which men to steer clear of, and which women might lend you some vinegar or salt. Sometimes, you'd quietly protest, charging a bit more for rude clients or delaying delivery. Some even marched to city halls to voice their complaints, though most were ignored. But in these small rebellions, you clung to your dignity, even when the world turned its back on you. You weren't mere washers of fabric, you were survivors of class oppression, caretakers of families that never acknowledged you. You formed part of an unseen army of women keeping the cities clean, while slowly drowning in poverty. Now imagine you're 50. Your joints ache, your eyesight dims, and you're too frail to lift the same baskets you once carried easily. There's no retirement, no pension, and no cozy home to rest in. If fortune smiles, a daughter or niece might take you in. If not, you could find yourself begging in the streets where you used to haul laundry. Some older laundresses worked until they could no more, dragging themselves to the washing sites, hoping for a bit of kindness. Others faded into obscurity, buried in unmarked graves, remembered only in laundry records that listed them by first name and how much they owed. So now, imagine once more. You weren't a royal or a noble lady in Versailles. You were the one who washed her sheets, scrubbed the perfume-soaked corsets, and cleaned up the blood from her lover's visits. History won't etch your name in gold. But your hands, those broken, calloused hands, created the rhythm of everyday life in 17th century France. You were overlooked. But you mattered. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because behind every powerful empire were women like these, forgotten, worn out, and painfully real. And next, we're going deeper.